Hello guys, and I'm really happy that in the world that is full of injustice, weakness and concerns, we have Ukrainian intelligence that does justice, even deep inside the Russian rear. According to the very vivid evidence, which I cannot describe on a sensitive YouTube channel, we know that another Russian war criminal, a pilot, an officer responsible for the targeting of civilian objects in Ukraine that led to the deaths of dozens, including children, was neutralized in Russia in a very persuasive way. And this is how justice works. When Russia undermines international agreements, when countries do not arrest Putin, there is no other way but neutralize them when they are still on the territory of Russia. Right now, difficult times are coming as Moldova and Georgia are preparing to vote. These former republics of the Soviet Union are also a part of the Putin's vision of the restored USSR. And he does everything to influence the elections, to spoil the future of these countries. And today, one of the important battles was lost by the Kremlin, because Moldova said yes to the European integration on the referendum, and the chances of the present president, pro-European candidate, to return back for the second term are really high. So let's discuss all of these detective and political stories from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Russia defeated, Putin imprisoned, and all of the Russian war criminals neutralized, subscribe. We discuss such important events and news on the channel. And please share the videos that you like on your social media platforms. The world needs to know the truth. So let's start with a person that was neutralized in Russia, in Bryansk, and why it is so important. Well, one of the most important things that all of us have to remember, this is not the Putin's war. It would be much easier to defeat just one Putin. Unfortunately, there are millions and millions and millions of people who support his views, people who wish all the bad to Ukraine, and what is worse, people who join the Russian army, who cross the Ukrainian border, and who kill and loot our people. In every bomber that shells Ukraine, in every tank that drives the Ukrainian territory, there are Russian soldiers inside, not Putin. And they commit a lot of war crimes every time before pressing the button, before targeting a civilian object. They do have a choice. Moreover, contrary to Ukrainian soldiers who don't have a choice, we defend our territory, we don't have other motherland, Russians are invaders, and they actually make this choice when they sign contracts, when they take money, and when they cross the Ukrainian state border. So these people make their choices, and unfortunately, there are very few who give up. The majority continue performing really bad things, understanding that they are targeting not military bases, not NATO military bases, but civilian objects. So this Russian officer, who is a pilot and who was actually the head of staff of aviation squadron of the 52nd Russian Bomber Regiment. He is responsible for two war crimes. First, when he targeted a shopping mall, a trade center in Kremenchuk of Poltava region, and that happened in June 27th of June 2022. At the moment when he shelled the center, 1,000 visitors were in. In the result of this attack, 22 civilians were killed. Subscribe to see the justice, because this is what happened to the man, and I have even put down his name, Golyenkov. I'm sorry that I don't remember their names, because my brain erases all the toxic information. So this was the first war crime, and he committed another one, and people in his unit too, on the 14th of January 2023. Many of you may remember really violent photos of a destroyed residential building in Dnipro after the attack of his unit. And after that attack, 46 civilians, people who were sleeping in their homes, just think about that, were killed, including 6 children. 6 children. And of course, he knew what he is doing. He clearly saw the target. He knew what kind of object that is, and he chose to kill these people. And it was not Putin behind him. And honestly, if he did not perform the order, he would not be executed. He had lots of options. Every Russian soldier has an option. First of all, to never join the Russian army, understanding what they are doing to the modern world. Second, to give up, surrender whenever they get this opportunity. There are lots of hotlines, opportunities, and programs for Russian soldiers to do so. And finally, to simply ignore the commands, the orders, which go against the rules of war. Even if you want to invade the country, even if you want to control this territory, you still respect the laws of war. But it's not about Russia, which clearly acts as an order. So after all of these war crimes, these people return back home to Russia, where all of our allies protect them by not allowing Ukraine to strike even Russian military objects with long-range missiles, thus preserving Russia from any kind of danger and not letting Ukraine to defend itself too effectively. And here we have this man living his life in his apartment with his children, pretending nothing happened. And justice found him. And it found him like dozens of times. And I'm not going to depict it in the details because once again, YouTube will protect you from the details, and I will do that too. Unfortunately, people are not that enthusiastic in protecting Ukrainian skies, but it was what Ukrainian intelligence named the hammer of justice. And it found him, I mean justice, but you can guess, it found him in the apple garden. There are videos and photos which are definitely disturbing, and respecting the policies, no one will ever demonstrate them to you, but you can try and find them online. I think it was a message for other war criminals that justice will find them in every apple garden of the Russian Federation. And also it is a message to the potential military man in Russia that you better stay home. Actually, you have a job to do there, protect Kursk region, for example. So this is an important mission, and I'm sure it will continue for decades, because unfortunately, just as it was after the Second World War, many criminals believe that they can escape the justice. But the world is not a safe place as long as people who consciously choose to kill children in their beds while they are sleeping remain unpunished. So I'm proud of the Ukrainian intelligence. Subscribe if you support Ukraine to demonstrate your solidarity with us and to see evil punished, because we all know unpunished evil grows. And right now we experience a very decisive moment in the modern history. You know, I often say that lots of Ukrainians are actually tired of living in a history book, but I have a feeling that you also live on the pages of that history book, and it's not finished yet. Many important decisions ahead, and hopefully this will be a good book, not 1984. But Russia does everything to undermine the democratic world order. Right now, very important political events are taking place both in Moldova and Georgia. Moldova is a country that borders with Ukraine, and according to the plan, we will join the European Union one day together. Maia Sandu, the president of Moldova, is a smart pro-European woman. I like her, support her. And it's really difficult for her, taking into account that right now Russia does everything to falsify the elections, to falsify the referendum results. But people of Moldova voted yes for the European Union. They needed this referendum because, contrary to the European Constitution, they did not have this information, and they needed to add the changes to the Constitution, and they supported it. Also, Maia Sandu, who is a pro-European candidate, received more than 40% of support and has all the chances to win in the second tour. But there are lots of pro-Russian candidates, and Russia will do everything to interfere. Right now, before the recording of this video, I watched Maria Zakharova, who is a spokesperson, for the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and she was speaking about NATO crusade to Moldova, that it is full of NATO soldiers right now, and that there is a coup and Moldova needs to be liberated. And also they used Kishinev regime, something similar. They speak about Kyiv, and they will continue to Tbilisi, because I feel that Georgia, that is now greatly under the influence of Russia, will protest too, because Georgians, they know a lot, they share a lot with Ukraine, and I feel their society will not accept this change of the course, and they want to be together with us in the EU family. And I have a lot of friends in Georgia who are very dissatisfied with the modern prime minister, who is definitely bought by the Russian oligarchs. And they are also terrified with the number of Russians who fled mobilization and moved to Georgia and now demonstrate typical Russian behavior in the beautiful country of Georgia, which is also dangerous because the next day they may start asking Putin to come to Georgia to protect them. It is a very common hybrid war tactics that Russia practices for decades in this part of the world, and I'm worried can repeat in other parts of the world. That's why all the people who go through a complex process of elections, please be careful, do vote, don't let others steal your vote, and think about the predictability of your candidate in this turbulent time. It's very important. But these are just the ordinary Ukrainian thoughts, and I'm very grateful for your opinions that you express in the comments below. I always read them, I learn a lot from you. Sometimes you change my attitudes. So please let me know, what do you think about the future of Moldova and Georgia? Will we join EU together? And honestly, it's quite difficult to fight Russia, not only militarily but politically, because of the decades of their communist Soviet experience, imperial experience. But we are doing our best, and together we are always stronger. Join me on X, Threads, Instagram. I share more of everyday life content there. Also, we have a beautiful Discord community and a really nice merch shop with lots of items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you so much for buying me coffees. Actually, I have one, even though it's late, because I have a lot of work to do. Thank you for becoming patrons and sponsors of the channel and helping me film and write more. I'm very grateful to have you as friends and supporters in my life. But most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!